Hi again, health fitness specialist students. This video is now just going to deal with chapter 24. And chapter 24 in your textbook just deals mainly with facility and equipment layout and design, being that we all maybe have the option if we wanted to be an independent contractor and maybe, design our own space. We want to have our own gym, our own facility. So there are some safety procedures and layout, design wise things that we have to think about if we decide, hey, I'd like to design maybe a large space, a facility, or maybe it's something in your home. But there's just some spacing requirements and things like that that we have to take into concern. So really, the main thing is we want to make sure it's a safe training environment. We don't want to be held liable if somebody gets injured in our environment. So some of the things that we can do to assure that we have a safe training environment is number one, having proper supervision, right? So obviously if we're training one-on-one, we are going to be there in the room with our client the entire time as they're training. But if we are in a larger facility, we want to make sure that we have supervisors and staff that are going to be staffing that facility appropriately, so there is proper supervision of everyone that is in that facility. And everybody that we have working under us, they should be certified. Definitely want to have that national certification, and it would be great to have some sort of educational background too, like you guys, you're getting that degree, so having that degree is also very, very helpful too. Also, they need to have appropriate program design and exercise instruction. We want to make sure that we are giving our clients programming that is safe, that's not going to further aggravate maybe a condition that they have, or we're not going to give them options of exercises to do that are contraindicated, that could lead to injury. So we want to make sure that we're staying within our scope of practice and we're designing programs that are safe and effective. And we're giving proper instruction. As they're doing the exercises, we are standing there, we're instructing them how to perform those exercises. That's a great way to make sure that we have a safe training environment. Also, we want to have relevant facility rules and policies. So we definitely have to make sure that stuff like that is posted. Any of our staff knows what the rules and the regulations are. They know what the policies are. And in addition to that, our clientele, they should know the rules of the facility. So when they sign in with a user agreement, all those rules and those policies are laid out right there on paper for those, not only the staff, but also for the clientele that come into our facilities. Also, effective facility design. We want to make sure that we're designing a facility that's compliant with ADA standards, Americans with Disabilities. So we want to make sure it's ADA compliant as far as, the light switches and the distance between equipment, so people in wheelchairs, for example, could get through. Drinking fountains are a certain height, so we have to make sure that's all taken into account. And if we're designing an actual facility, having a designer, someone who, knows how to design properly in the loop, and, we might have to pay for something like that, but that's the best way to go. Proper equipment placement. Again, this chapter is really good at giving ideas of how much space and a buffer you should have around different types of equipment and how much space you should have for stretching areas and things like that. So I definitely encourage you to spend some time and look at those buffers and what those numbers are, because those are things that you're going to definitely be tested on as well. And then also having a maintenance plan. Equipment maintenance, things are going to break down. Have a plan of when to replace, and, we can't keep the same equipment for years upon years. We have to replace it, because when it starts going bad, that's when injuries can result. So maintenance is very, very important as well. So as far as your equipment placement, here's just some general things to think about. So the first one is any taller machines need to be placed along the wall, or if there's a pillar in the middle of your room, they should be placed maybe in front of that pillar. Okay, so they're in the back of the room, along the wall, or in front of a pillar. So they don't want to be standing out in front of smaller or shorter equipment. And they need to be bolted down, okay, because we don't want them to tip over and fall. So taller machines placed along the wall or the pillars. Dumbbell racks, on the other hand, again, typically are placed against the wall. Okay, sometimes they're placed in front of mirrors, which is fine, but if you're going to place equipment of any nature from a mirror, it needs to be at least 6 inches away. Okay, so that's a good thing to remember. Also, if you're doing circuit training equipment, and you're going to be placing different resistance training equipment all in a row to design sort of a circuit, arrange it from large muscle groups first down to small muscle groups. That's one recommended way. Or you could alternate an upper body machine and a lower body machine, an upper body machine and a lower body machine, if you're going to do a circuit style layout as far as your equipment. Definitely want to have a separate area that's open for stretching and maybe doing body weight exercises. Okay, so just a few things to think about. Spacing. Okay, number one, we have to allow for improved supervision. So the proper spacing between equipment is going to help us to be able to supervise and see those clients safely. Also, sufficient room to safely train. Okay, that's going to allow for that, and it's going to allow for traffic flow. People need to walk through and get past different pieces of equipment. So the general rule, as far as ADA requirements go, they do say about 3 feet around all of your equipment. That should be your perimeter. 3 feet is the general ADA guidelines. So as far as facility traffic flow, we want sufficient amounts around the perimeter of your resistance and your cardiovascular disease, machines. So people are, walking around those machines, around the resistance machines. So we want to have enough room for them to walk in and out and around all those machines. You have to have at least one unobstructed walkway that's bisecting the room. So at least one larger walkway that's about 3 feet wide that's unobstructed, okay, bisecting that room. And then your ceilings need to be at least 12 feet, okay, at least 12 feet. Some are higher, but at least 12. And then as far as your stretching and your body weight area, anywhere from 40 to 60 square feet of space per user is what's recommended. Okay, 40 to 60 square feet per user. Resistance training machine, generally around 2 feet apart is a good rule of thumb. And then anything for free weights, Olympic and fixed weight barbells, about 3 feet apart. We want to accommodate anywhere from 3 to 4 exercises at a time in that space. Your weight trees, if you're having a weight tree, you don't want them any closer than 3 feet. Okay, and dumbbell racks, like I said, about 6 inches from your mirrors. For your Olympic lifting area, we want to have that walkway around the platform. So around 3 to 4 feet is what's recommended. So as far as that whole Olympic lifting area itself, it should be at least 36 square feet total as far as the room size go. Aerobic exercise, again, 3 feet around all of the sides of your equipment, and the mirrors need to be placed at least 20 inches above the floor. So you don't put the mirror right on the floor level. It's got to be at least 20 inches above the floor level before it can be hung, okay? And then definitely want to have consistent inspections of all your machines. We want to have maintenance of all the machines, and we want to have a cleaning schedule. So if you look in your textbook on page 620, you will see there's a whole checklist on that. So starting with, your exercise facility, things to look at as far as your flooring, your walls, your ceiling, your exercise equipment, things to look at as far as your stretching area, your body weight area, your resistance training machines, your Olympic areas. And then on page 622, the frequency of maintenance and cleaning. So what are some things that need to be done daily, right? What needs to be done at least 2 to 3 times a week? What needs to be done once a week? And then what are some things just as needed? So these are all schedules that we need to make sure as far as maintenance goes and cleaning, so we're keeping everything tip-top shape. So when we look at the floors, the walls, and the ceilings, definitely inspecting those regularly is very important. And this is all part of the whole risk management, meaning we want to reduce our risk of getting sued. All right, so liability-wise, we want to reduce that from occurring. So by inspecting these things regularly, so there's less of a chance for our clients to get injured, that's going to help reduce our risk. Okay, it's called risk management. So for the wood, you want to make sure there's no splinters in the floor, there's no holes in it, there's no nails sticking out, no uneven boards, right? No loose screws. If there's any rubber flooring or any mats on the floor, there shouldn't be any gaps on them. There shouldn't be any cuts on them or any worn spots. And then carpeting needs to be free of any tears. Okay, be cautious of those high traffic areas. That's where people walk a lot. So make sure that you're paying attention to that stuff. And then clean with antifungal, antibacterial agents regularly. We want to have that stuff available for our clients even to use when they're done using a piece of equipment. Also, as far as cleaning, your staff needs to know this. What's the responsibility? What do I need to clean every day when I'm at work? What do I need to clean, once a week? It's part of my job. Whoever that person is on staff, they need to be aware of what needs to be done daily, once or twice a week, once a week, that sort of thing, and make sure it's getting checked off, right? We should have a check-off process that this got done today. Weekly cleaning stuff, things like body weight equipment, the machines, weight plates, bars, platforms, aerobic equipment, definitely things that you need to clean weekly, very deep cleaning on a weekly basis. And so again, the frequency varies. Some things are daily, some things are 2 to 3, times a week, some things are, once a week, some things are as needed, but definitely keep records of all of this. What needs to be done daily, and make sure it gets checked off every day by those folks that are working for you. So that is just kind of a summary of 24. Note that there's also some recommendations as far as a home gym area, and the numbers that the equipment, the spacing of equipment is a little bit different in a home gym versus a commercialized gym. So pay attention to that. And, knowing a home gym layout, what it should be made up of, is a great thing to know as a personal trainer, because you can share that with your clients, and that might even bring in more profits. Being able to help a client design their own in-home gym. That's things that you can charge for. So knowing the design, the proper layout, and the safety guidelines that surround those pieces of equipment is all a great thing to know. And like I said, it can increase your profitability if you know that stuff. So I just wanted to point out, in your textbook, it does share that sort of information as well. So that is it for chapter 24.